guys, welcome back. This is the last pattern of the advent calendar and it's called the yew tree bag. If you're wondering why it's called the yew tree, I have at the moment 8 patterns named after places or streets within my town. And the yew tree is a residential home that's been there for years. I mean, hundreds of years, and it's just over there. I'm pointing through my window. Um, and basically, it's kind of come an icon of Shifnal. Yeah, so that's why it's called the yew tree. There is quite a lot of patterns coming up with more landmarks and more names in Fred's gang and in general public regarding places around me. So right, so it's this one. Now a lot of you probably opened it up and said, well, it looks a bit like two of the other patterns that we've already released, which is like the Omni Go bag and stuff. It is similar, it's the same size, but the construction is completely different. I've made quite a lot of different construction ends, so how we put it together at the end. There is a bit in the middle, how we put the body together and the base. So it's totally different. You're going to learn quite a lot of new techniques with this one. So I'm just going to jump to the overhead camera. You would have already interfaced your fabric as per pattern says. Don't fuse the heavy stabilizer, which is the foam or fusible fleece. Reason being is we do that later on, once we've done the assemble of the two front, back and outer front panel, back and outer front panel. Yeah. Um, I will make one comment because it's going to pop up in the comments, or you guys are going to say it in the chat. Two of my lining fabrics are upside down. Um, I know they're upside down. The person I'm making it for might not know it's upside down, so when she looks into the bag, they'll be the right way up. It was a big mistake. But yeah, let's get into it. So let's go to the overhead camera. Yeah. Right, let's just focus that. Right, okay, so basic things is you'll know what you need on the back. If you're a beginner, I would say do the bag in either cotton canvas, cotton fabric. Just basically, just don't overexhaust yourself by using PU or cork. I don't mention you can use cork, but you can use cork as long as it's a good backed cork. Um, you'll need 1 meter of lining fabric. You will have some left over, but I just like to add that extra bit in. Um, when I say interfacing, you will definitely need 2 meters of interfacing. There will be a tiny bit left over, but that's it really. Um, the Decaville Heavy, if I just get my base, where is my base? This one. The Decaville Heavy, make sure you fuse it into the center so you've got a hefty, good seam allowance all the way around. Um, and cut it to the size that it tells you to within the pattern. Right, let me just put those back there so I don't lose those pieces. You will need some plastic canvas. I've got some here. As you can see, I've got some plastic canvas. I do sell it, but you can use anything like chopping boards, stuff like that. There is other techniques that you can use for plastic bases. Um, that hardware I'm not going to run through, but the heavy stabilizer, you've got two options. So my option is that because I'm using quite a heavy duty sewing machine, which is my Janome HD9, I'm going to use single-sided fusible foam. So that's Styreville or in our form, Bosal in our form. But if you are new to bag making and a bit dubious that your machine might not make it, please go ahead and use single-sided fusible fleece like Visaline H640. The rest is self-explanatory. I will say you will definitely need to have 1/4 inch quilters double-sided sticky tape. That's not normal sticky tape, that's quilter's tape. Just means that it's going to protect your sewing machine. Now, there is a few things that were in your box that you might not know what they are for. Right, so you might have had something that looks like, I have to get it out, this. So let me just focus that. So it's got, you might have had two of these. So one's for another make if you want to. I will be getting some more of these in stock. They're on back order by the manufacturer. I could only get what I needed for the box for the advent calendar. So you should have something that looks like this. It's an over the top magnetic snap. So basically this clips over finished seams and that will go in the inside of your bag. So there's a stapled inside pocket in there. See that third bit there? That's where this will go. But you can use this on tote bags, on the outer side of your tote bags if you want to. It's totally up to you, and it's really good. All you have to do is put a little bit of glue. So you had some glue within your uh, uh, advent calendar box. Just dab a bit of glue where you're going to put it on your fabric, and then you're going to squeeze these closed with a pair of pliers. Now, with the pair of pliers, I use standard pliers, but my pliers have got a zaggy end to it, so I just tend to cut a bit of foam off to squeeze those, which I will do in the video anyway. The other thing is, which I haven't got, because I only had enough for you guys, are these little bees. Now, I say in the pattern you can use bag charms, which is what this is, or your handmade tags. I'm going to be putting handmade tag on today. However, I will guide you through on how to kind of do that anyway. But you need to punch the smallest hole possible, but making sure it goes through all the layers. And obviously, you just get a screwdriver and screw it into place. Everything else is self-explanatory as when it comes to the hardware. You will need more hardware than what was actually in the box. I just gave you the few bits that you needed to the bits that we've never done within the actual Threads gang. Okay, and then basically I do say the magnetic over the edge magnetic snap is optional. So that's that bit there that I just showed you at the start. Um, that's optional. You don't need to do this inside pocket if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. But I quite like it because it's just a quick and easy snap open, get what I need and close it up and then zip it up again. Right, so I'm just going to get into the pattern. The standard instructions. I do tell you there is two templates. So let me get the two templates. There is two templates on two separate pages which you have to stick together. The arrows don't join up, but just make sure your two outer edges join up. If you need a second copy of your of the templates, please don't hesitate to ask. I can send you a copy of the pattern with the templates attached to it. Make sure when you are printing out, if you are getting it from me again, please make sure you are doing actual size or 100%. We are using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance unless I state otherwise that you need to use a smaller seam allowance, but that will come along in the pattern. And then please only fuse your Decaville Heavy as your heavy stabilizer at this point, but make sure you've either got your fusible foam or fusible fleece not attached to anything, just sat on the side. Push it away so you don't fuse it onto anything. It can't be fused, it's too big for a piece at the moment anyway. So you've got your cutting guides. Make sure you prep your fabric first, and then we just get into making it. Now, this is the old layout. When this goes into Fred's gang in so many months' time, this will have the new layout where it'll be a column of pictures here and a column of writing here. It's just so we can put it up to Sewing Street standard. Right, okay, so let me just keep that open. Right, so in my sewing machine, I have got a size 16 needle. I've got Gutermann sew all thread, so I'm using a navy fabric because I'm making this for my sister for Christmas. So I've got a navy fabric in my a navy fabric that I'm using. So I'm using this PU, which is a soft PU. Um, so I'm using a Gutermann sew all thread. You can use a nylon thread if you want to, bonded nylon thread, totally up to you if your machine will take it. Okay, so I've got 4 of these to do. So you need your 4 rectangle rings and you'll need your 4 rectangle ring tabs. So, sorry about this, if you can hear all this noise. And you'll need some, obviously, quilter's tape, Becky's favourite. Right, okay, so on the wrong side of all of these, you will have your fusible interfacing on. You will have it in the centre and you should have 2 gaps either side at the top and the bottom. That's because it's just to cut down the bulk. Okay, so I'm just gonna run some tape on each side and I'll meet you back. So your 4 tabs will have quilter's tape either side. Just going to show you the one and then I'll do these off camera and come back to you. So you're just going to peel off the backing tape off both of those. Okay, then you're just going to estimate where the centre is and fold those over. Okay, and then you're going to get one of your rings. Let me just make sure I don't actually sew those. Yep, you're going to get one of your rings, feed that on, and fold that over so it's wrong side to wrong side, and you're going to clip. And you're just going to keep it to one side. Now you're going to repeat the same process for the last 3 of those. Okay, so you should have your 4 tabs like that. So my next question is you need to ask yourself is, do you have a rivet press or can you set rivets? If you can't, then I'm going to tell you what to do next. When I say rivets, if you actually look closer at your pattern, you'll notice I've used rivets on the actual tabs here and here. If you haven't got a rivet press or can't set rivets, your next thing you'll need to do is sew as close as you can get to the D-rings at the top. I'm not going to do that because my rivets, I'm going to put rivets in, but I will need to sew the bottom pieces at the bottom edges here where the clips are. So first of all, go and sew where the clips are along those edges. Do it 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And then if you are sewing it and you can't set your rivets, just make sure you'll sew here as close as you can on all of them. It just stops these from moving around. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew on the 4 clip sides. Okay, so you're going to need your 2 outer bottom body parts. So you've got 2 pieces for your main outer body. So you'll have 2 smaller pieces and 2 larger pieces. And your larger pieces will have little bits cut out at the bottom. So you're just going to take one of the larger pieces at the moment. And we're working on step 2, I think it is. Let me just bring this over. Yeah, step 2. So first of all, you're going to find the centre top and the centre bottom. You're going to fold it in half. And you're going to find the centre bottom and the centre top. Just snip slightly into those. Then, yep. So from this side here and this side here, we're going to measure in 3 inches. I wrote this pattern ages ago, so I am going to have to refer quite a lot back to the pattern, which I apologise. I normally know my stuff, but too many patterns to remember now. Right, okay, so you've got your ring tab. Pop that next to the ruler, so your ring might be overlapping your rule, and you're matching up the raw edges. And you're going to clip that into place. You're going to repeat the same for this side. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side for a minute. Pop that there. And I'm going to grab the other one and repeat the same process. So from the top and the bottom centers. Okay, then I'm going to measure in on each side. So 3 inches. And 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then what I like to do is before I go and base stitch these into place, pop these on top of each other and make sure they're lined up, which that one is. That one is. Okay, so I'm just going to base stitch right near enough where the stitching is on the tabs on both of those, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got those base stitched. I'm just going to get rid of any thread so it's out of the bulk. Okay, so the next thing you're going to go and do is get your top outer body pieces. So that's the other two smaller pieces. You got a longer edge and a shorter edge. The shorter edge is your top, your longer edge matches up to this area here. So you're going to flip that over. You're going to find the center of that bottom edge. It will help in the long run. So, okay, so match up those centers and then that will help you in the long run to make sure it's equal on each side. Make sure your rings are pointing down as well. Okay, repeat the same process for the other one. Find that center long part, long edge. Okay, so you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch along this edge here and along that edge. And then I'll meet you back. Right, okay, so I've gone ahead and done both of those. So I basically, where the tabs are, ran over it a few times and make sure I reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. I used the standard stitch length, but on my sewing machine that's a 2.5, but it could be a 2, a 2.2, a 2.4 on your sewing machine, so please do look it up. Right, okay, so with this now, we want the seam to point downwards. So as I'm flipping it, the seam wants to go down this way. So you're going to top stitch. Now on the pattern, I say 2 rows of top stitching. It's up to you. I'm going to see how mine looks at the end. Make sure it's nice and flat, but you're going to top stitch along there, making sure you catch this bottom seam here, this seam here, and you're going to go over the tabs. I'm going to use the stitch length number 4, and I'm going to do that for both of them, and I'm going to see how it is. If not, I might have to do a second row of stitches just to make sure that's all caught. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that, and as it stands, it's fine for me. I don't need to do 2 rows of stitches. So the idea is that you catch, make sure you definitely catch those tabs seams as well. So as you can see, my seam is pointing down on both of these. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do, and this is where you're going to get your fusible fleece or fusible foam, you're going to use the manufacturer's instructions. And I'll do this off camera, but you're going to make sure your tabs and your rectangle rings are pointing up. You will get, I can guarantee, if you're using foam or fusible fleece, you will get some squares indented. Don't worry that they drop out. I did worry at first, but they do actually drop out, so don't stress. Okay, so you're just going to get your fusible fleece or fusible foam, depending on what you're using, and you're going to pop that on before you go ahead and fuse it. You just want to make sure you've got at least near enough an inch down the bottom, which is including this section here, and half an inch-ish around here, and then just free from foam around there. And you're going to do that for both pieces. I'll meet you back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and fused those, and like I say, you will get some squares. Just ignore them; they do lift out. Those have already started lifting out. This was the first one. This is the one I've just finished. So please just ignore them. They do go eventually. Right, okay. So the next thing you're going to do is if you're doing some rivets, this is where we're going to do the rivets. If you're not doing rivets, you might want to just sew just underneath the line that you've already done, so another row of stitches. So you will have 2 rows of stitches just for extra precaution. You can do that if you're doing rivets as well. You can sew as close as you want to, as close to the rectangle rings, and then just add a rivet. Personally, I'm just going to add a rivet because this is ample enough stabilization for the actual strength of the whatever you put into the bag. So I'm just going to get my rivet press and some rivets. If you've got Chicago screws, you can use Chicago screws, totally up to you. Uh, if you're using rivets, you're going to need some ones that have got a long barrel. Mine are like 3/8 of an inch barrels. I'm using cap 8. I think that's an 8, if I remember rightly. 1, 2. Oh, that's a bit too small, that cap. Okay. Okay. I've taught these quite a lot, so I'm not going to really go into big details about these. Okay. Oh, I've got no ones. Right, okay. So depending on how you punch your holes, I'm going to use a Japanese hole punch. You might want to protect your mat underneath. I don't. And you're just going to punch them in the centre. So personally, I like to measure. So these are 1 inch wide, and you've got an allowance of 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to come half an inch in, and I'm 3/8 up from this line here. Just going to pop a a little mark there so I know what I'm doing. Get the hole punch and punch down, and hopefully that's gone all the way through. Probably hasn't, because you've got quite a few layers to go through. Okay, so mine has gone all the way through. Okay, so you're going to get your rivet with the barrel and poke that through, and it should come through to the other side. And then you're just going to click that into place. That doesn't mean it's set, but it just means it's set for now. Repeat the same process. I'm done. So that. Gone all the way through. Oh, I think I need to put some more glue on my tailor's all. That clicks into place, but it's not set. Put that to one side, just repeat the same. I like to do everything all at once. I press all at once, so it just means that it's done then. Yeah. Oops. You're probably wondering why I actually measure. It's because I like it all to be symmetrical. I used to do it quite often when I used to sell my bags, and I just think it looks a bit more professional if you measure. If you got a marking tool, which is like a ruler with some holes in it, use that. As long as you keep the same, if you keep the same on all of them, then can't go wrong then, can you? Okay, just get rid of those. Okay, so I'm just going to use my rivet. I've got my dies set in there. So I've got a cap die on each end, and they're 10mm. Yeah, 10mm. These are 8 or 9, but I can set 10s in 8 or 9s in a 10 anyway. Number 1. Number 2. Okay, so I've got both of those, all those 4 set. Okay, so choose which one is going to be your front and which one's going to be your back. I'm going to use this one as my front because I've just got a little dent on my rivet, so that's going to be my back. So you got your charm within your packs, or you might not want to use the charm. I'm using a handmade tag, but it's the same principle. I'll just show you how to do both. Right, okay, so from the centre top, which I haven't found the centre, so I'm just going to quickly find that centre. Oh, that was nice and crisp pieces. Okay, from that centre top, which I've kind of marked, I'm going to measure down 4 inches. If you're using PU, you might want to get a marking tool that you can kind of rub off. I'm using the one from More Me Know, which little stitches those cells. It just means that if I just do this within the seam allowance, it's like a little white mark, but it actually does rub off to a certain point. Right, okay, so from the top centre, I'm going to measure down 4 inches. So I know this is 4.5 inches. Kind of make sure that's level before I mark. So I'm just popped a little mark there. So if you're using the bee charm, the little bee, you would punch a tiny hole. Now I wouldn't punch a hole, I would use my tailor's awl. So tailor's awl. So I would punch a hole about that thickness all the way down through all those layers. Then what you're going to do is flip this over, and where that hole is, you're going to get the screw and push that screw through that hole through the wrong side, and your screw will pop up. Your end of your screw will pop up here. Get the bee and just kind of figure out where the hole of the bee is and your screw. Hold it like this and screw the bee on to the point where you can't go any further. Hold the bee with your finger in place and then just get a screwdriver and screw it into place. Now you can add a bit of glue onto the back of the bee if you want to, or onto the actual screw if you want to. It's totally up to you. I'm going to do the handmade tag. So first of all, I've got 4 prongs, so I've got 4 little teeth things at the back. I'm going to work out what sections they fall through on the actual. There you go. So they fall through on my washer, the last 2 on each side. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8. So that centre bar there is where that lies. So let's put that on there. I'm going to make sure that's kind of level before I do anything. Okay, and I'm just going to mark those slits either side. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm now going to cut through those 4 little slits there, and I'm going to use a scalpel or a craft knife. Don't cut anything past those marks that you've just done. Make sure your handmade tag is the right way up. Could be your business logo as well. And before I do that, because mine, okay, because mine's writing, I could see the marks, so I'm just gonna got rid of those marks, those drawn marks. Flip that over, put this into place, and obviously open up those prongs. You can go ahead and pop something on top of that if you want to. I've run out of duct tape and I still have not gone out and bought myself any more. So you could do some interfacing on top if you want to. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to leave as is because it's for my sister and she won't mind. But if you're making it for someone else, please put something over the top of it. Make sure that's straight. I personally just like to check everything. Yep. And those 2 pieces are now finished, and put those to one side. So you're going to get your base, should have your Decaville light fused to it, and you're going to get a larger quilt as well, and a biro, because we're drawing on the wrong side, so it doesn't matter. And using step 7 and 8, we're going to install some bag feet. If you don't want to install bag feet, skip on to the next section and fast forward this a bit. So from the two long edges, we're going to measure in 1 inch and 7/8. Okay. Just double check that before I go in. Measure in from the two long edges, 1 and 7 inches, and draw the line. Draw two lines. So that's one. Put that around. Okay, and then from the two shorter edges, measure 2.5 inches in. When I'm measuring from this edge here, not the decaville, from the outer fabric edge, 2.5 inches. Okay, and this one here. Okay, so depending on what type of bag feet you got, I've just got closed pronged ones, and I'll tell you why. Right, okay, so I've got closed pronged ones, and that's ideal for this. However, it doesn't matter what style you've got, just follow the manufacturer's instructions. You might have a Chicago screw style. You're going to punch a hole in where the two lines cross over. And you're going to do the same with this one. If you've got washers and your prongs are open like that, you're going to pop your washer on top and draw the two slits either side. I'm going to do this one here. So we just need some small slits. I'm not kidding, I'm doing my minutest holes. Hopefully that's come through, Becky, because Decaville Heavy is quite strong. It has. So from the right side, where that little slit is, pop your foot through. Same with this one. To help you, pop it through at the top first if it helps you try and find it. Okay, then you're just going to open up the prongs. I personally like to go and just squash those down a bit. Yeah, so they're just nice and neat and flat. You can cover those up if you want to. I personally don't. I've stopped covering up prongs on my feet, and only if I've got plastic base in the bag. So because I'm putting plastic base in, these won't catch on anything. But that's a personal choice. Go ahead, put some duct tape on if you want to. It's totally up to you. So we're just going to quickly fold this in half and find the two long edge centers. Excuse me, I'm getting over a bad cough at the moment. Okay, then you're going to get your body front and back pieces, and you see this lip at the bottom here. You're going to match up one of the centers to the base, and your base should measure the width of the tabs that stick out at the bottom, the tab that sticks out of the main bag. Okay, so you're going to go to your sewing machine and you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch along this edge, and you're going to do it once. Once you've sewn, you're going to flip this open. Your seam, this seam here, needs to come towards the base, and then you're going to top stitch it. Now, at the moment, because I've got clips on it, it wants to go upwards, but you want the seam to come towards the base, and then you're going to top stitch it, and using a top stitch of a number 4 stitch. But when you sew this together, use a 2.5 stitch. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. My seams should be pointing down. It ruffled up a bit there. I will have a little bit of bulk in that corner, but that's fine for my sewing machine. But if you've got that like lip there, um, just unpick it a bit and just re-sew it. Make sure your seam's lying flat. So the next thing you're going to do is bring it all together to make the outer body. So first of all, do the sides. Key points to match up is where the top and the bottom meet on both sides. This will get folded. You can't do anything about that at the moment. But don't crease it if you understand where I'm coming from. Just let it roll. Okay, repeat the same on the other side. Okay, so you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch down those two sides there. Sorry, that's not focus. You're going to sew 3/8 of an inch down. Make sure you reverse stitch at the start and at the end, and you're going to use a standard stitch length of a 2.5 or whatever your standard stitch length is. Okay, so let me say back in. Oh, no, that way. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to trim off most of this excess, but I personally like to leave a tab at the top and the bottom. It just helps with later on when you open up your seams. So I'm trimming it back by half, but tapering it at the top and the bottom. Do the same on this one. Okay, so at the bottom, you're going to just pull that open. You're going to open that bit up there, and you're just going to match up the edges. open up that tab you left at the bottom. I like to put 2 clips in that centre. Now, if you want to, you can open the seam out. If you want to, ideally, you want to push it in towards the base, like so. If it allow you, that is. Okay. So you're going to go to your sewing machine. I'm going to just do one side at a time. Squash this down to the best ability. And you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch. Now it will arc the seam. I can guarantee you it's going to arc, which is fine because when you come to do your plastic base, the template is actually arced. So please just beware that you will need to see that arc when you're sewing it. So you're just going to sew 3/8 of an inch away from the seam allowance, and you're going to slightly arc it here and here. It'll feel natural once it's underneath your sewing machine. Use a standard stitch length over 2.5. So you've gone ahead and done that. Just make sure it's got no major creases. If you do get major creases in it, don't worry, they do drop out. Right, so we're going to leave it as is at the moment. Just going to put that to one side. You're going to get your D-ring tabs, and the same as like the rectangle rings, you should have top and the bottom free from interfacing. You get your D-rings. Okay, so we're going to do these slightly a bit different. First of all, we're going to treat it as the same, bringing in the 2 raw edges into the wrong side, into the centre. So I'm just going to put some tape on those. I can get my tape off. There you go. Okay, so you're going to bring the 2 raw edges into the centre. So you're going to feed on your D-ring to halfway. So the round of the D-ring is on the right side. Okay, and then you're just going to run 2 pieces of quarter tape on the wrong side on the 2 short edges. Okay, bring your D-ring down a little bit. Okay, bring this over that D-ring, so it's should have around about an inch overhang, and stick that into place. Then you're going to peel that bit off and you're going to fold that up on it itself and stick that into place. So your 2 edges should meet in the middle, and this should measure approximately 1.5 inches in length. Just pop a clip on that. Repeat the same process. I've got about just over 1/2 inch, probably about 3/4 of an inch to be fair, of tape. 2 rows. I'm going to do this one at a time. Okay, so we're working on step 13. You're going to measure 1 1/8. So you're going to bring the bag down like so. Make sure if you've got that tab, open it up. When I say that tab, you know, that little bit there of the seam. Open that up. Okay, you're going to measure down 1 1/8 on that centre, on that side seam, shall I say. Peel off the backing tape, and you're going to stick that down like so. And technically it should be on top of where the join is of the top outer and the bottom outer. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is sew a square, an X. I'm going to just do one row of stitches there, one row of stitches there, and I'm going to add a rivet into mine. The rivet's optional, totally up to you. You're going to top stitch a 4, stitch length number 4. But make sure you reverse your stitch at the start and at the end, and you will definitely need some sewing, some top stitching before you put any rivets in. So like I said, I'm just going to do 2 rows of one at the top and one at the bottom rows of stitches, and then I'm going to add a rivet in. I'm going to do that all off camera, and then I'm going to repeat the same process with the other one and stick that to this side here, and then I'll meet you back. Right, okay, so I've opted not to do some rivets, and reason being is I don't want to cut through this seam here. It's personal choice at the end of the day. So I've just done 2 rows of stitches. That's done. We're going to pop this to one side, and we're going to move on to the lining. Ugh. Right, okay, so I've got more lining pieces. Yeah. So first of all, we're going to do the inside zip pocket first. So let me just work out what pieces I've got here. So that's my center one. That's my zip. That's my top lining piece. Okay, so this is where I said my birds are going to be upside down. Okay, so I've got one of the lining body pieces, bottom body pieces, and I've got one of the zip pocket pieces. I've done this plenty of times. These zip pockets don't change apart from the measurements. I tend to stick to the same types of pockets. Reason being is it just means that whenever I say make a inside zip pocket, you kind of already know the instructions. So taking the one bottom lining piece and the inside zip pocket lining piece, find the centre of the lining bottom and top, and the 10-inch side, blah blah blah. Then matching up the centres, right sides together, pin the lining, matching up the edge and the centres. Now measure down, yeah, measure down 1 and right. So this is slightly a bit different. So you're going to find the centre top of here first. Okay, this will really confuse it because the birds are going to be the right way on this one, but okay, so now this is where your top lining piece matches up with the row here. Normally I get you to measure down, not on this bag. So you're just going to pop pins. So you know that's your centre there. You're just going to do what I'm going to do here because sometimes I lose my centre. Just going to mark that centre and give it a good mark. And put some more pins down here. Okay, so we're gonna do an 8-inch hole, and you're gonna measure down from that top edge here, 1 1/4, yeah, 1 1/4 down, and we're gonna do 8 inches rectangle ring. So 1 1/4 down. So my 6 is my center. I'm gonna do 4 inches this way, 4 inches that way. And 3/8 of an inch down. Okay, so I've got my rectangle there. I personally just draw these, but I tell you to measure in 1/2 inch, then do your triangles, and then obviously you've got your center line there. Okay, so you're going to sew just on the outer lines, not touching any of those hand-drawn lines that I just did in the center. You're going to stitch at a standard stitch length, and you're going to reverse stitch at the start and at the end. Okay, so remove those pins. Now you're going to, on that center drawn line, from mark to mark, so the vertical marks, just going to take it nice and slow and cut through all the layers. And you're going to get your snip into those corners, but not into that stitching. Okay, and you're going to get your iron and just press those at the moment, like so. Just to give you that little help of pushing it through. Okay, so you're going to post all that lining, pocket lining through that hole to the wrong side. Personally, I like to work on the body lining side rather than the pocket side at the moment, because you don't want any creases in those corners on this side. You don't mind if you have a few little creases in the corners on that side. If you find that you've got creases on this side, you need to pull that lining back through and snip more into those corners. It just means you haven't snipped enough into those corners. So, okay, and then just go over to the other side and give that a quick press. Okay, so you should have something that looks like that and that. Okay, so we're just going to run quarters tape on the top and the bottom on the either side of that rectangle. Okay, so you can peel off the backing tape on both of those. Get your number 3 zip. Just make sure it opens up fully. Lie that on with your teeth pointing up towards you. Personally, I like to just leave that far as way possible, and Just line it up best you can. No one's a perfectionist. Okay, so I've got that overhanging, so my sewing machine needle isn't going to go through that and snap. I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch all the way around using the stitch length number 3, so that's number 3, and just make sure you reverse stitch at the start and at the end. Lining piece, pop that right side facing down. Personally, I like to pin not all the 3 layers together, so we do that bit in a bit, or clip, totally up to you. Now, I sometimes find, and I've got it on this one, it sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. It's to do with the shrinkage rate of the pocket. But if I flip this over, sometimes find I get a little bit of an overhang underneath. Just ignore it. I do. As long as it's not too much, and your pocket's got really super small. Okay, so on your sewing machine, you're just going to sew down this side, down the bottom, and down this side here. And then what I'm going to do is then take these clips off, put those clips back on, but I'm going to put it under this underneath and then sew across there. So it's 3 layers at the top, but you only need the 2 layers all the way around. But I'll come back to that part then. So using a stitch length a 2.5 and 3/8 of an inch seam length, you're just sewing down the 2 sides of the pocket and the bottom at the moment. Gone ahead and sew down the 2 sides and the bottom. Then you're just going to get those clips, take them off, and then put them back on so they've got all 3 layers to that. And put those to one side. So next thing you're going to grab is your centre pocket divider pocket thing. So you should have some binding. I'm just going to give mine a quick press before we go any further. Okay, so you should have some binding, and you fold those to the wrong side on each side, and then you should have 4 pieces. So with the 4 pieces first, you're going to pop those right sides together and just clip along the one edge. Okay, and do exactly the same with the other one. So we're going to sew 3/8 of an inch along both of those 2 edges there. Reverse your stitch at the start and at the end, and please make sure you reverse your stitch at the start and at the end, and use a stitch length of 2.5. Okay, so we're now going to just flip those over, give them a good finger press, and you're going to give them a good press on your iron, making sure the seams are nice and rolled. Okay, so you're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the two folded edges, but then while you're at your sewing machine, just sew down the three raw edges, so they're all one piece. So I'm just going to clip so it doesn't all come apart and move about. Broken. Okay, so 1/8 of an inch away. Reverse your stitch at the start and at the end on the two folded edges, and then down the raw edges you're just going to base stitch those. I'll base stitch them about 1/8 of an inch away from the edges. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. Just make sure you know which is your folded sides and not your raw edges. Okay, so you're going to get if you want to do this part, it's optional, the magnets that overhang. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so first of all, you're going to find the center. Now I'm going to mark it with a so I'm going to find the center and mark it with a piece of chalk because obviously I don't want to use a friction pen on dark fabric. I'm just going to use this pen actually because I only need a little mark. Okay, so I've got a mark on that one. I've run out of chalk. Before I go any further, I like to make sure my centers are center, which they are. Okay, so person Personally, I haven't got any of the glue that came in the advent calendar because I only had enough for you guys. So I'm just going to use some of this. And Becky's hoping, yeah. I'm just going to do a few dots on either side of that centre mark. Okay. Don't need it more than 3/4 of an inch, and a reason why is is because that's no more than 3/4. Okay, so work which is your front and which is your outer. I mean your inner and your outer. This is my inner. So you're just going to pop that over the top and push it down just a wee little bit. I can't push it down any further because of my arthritis. So let me just get something. I've got some fleece here and I'm going to get my pair of pliers. This is what I was talking about before. Mine's got jagged edges inside. So I'm just going to pop that fleece in my pliers like so. Going to make sure that's still in the center and I'm going to squeeze that. Now that isn't perfectly closed at the moment, so I'm just going to fold that back over. I'm trying my hardest not to crush any of the magnet part itself. I'm just going to squeeze that bit there. So that's actually quite closed now on this side. I'm just going to repeat the same on this side. Okay, and that's perfectly in place. Now with that glue as well, it'd be perfect once that's dried. Repeat the same process. So obviously this is my inner part. You want the magnetic part inside and you just want on the outside the little lip. You can pop that over there. Squeeze it as much as you can just to hold it into place. I can't squeeze it anymore. It hurts my thumb. Okay. So just get your pliers. Oh, no, we need some new better pliers, I think. I might need to raid my dad's shed. Okay, and then just squeeze the two sides. It's a bit more tricky on the female side, but it does work. Okay, that's into place. Okay, then you're just going to clip those together, like so. Pop some clips down the two sides. And some clips at the bottom. Okay, so you're just going to run some lines of stitches down the two sides and across the bottom using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and you're going to use a basin stitch, so it can be a large stitch length if you want to. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. the last thing you're going to do is get your binding, and you're just going to get rid of this raw edge at the bottom. So you're going to open this up and match up the raw edge. Now in the pattern, I do tell you to fold it in. You don't need to, because these will catch in the side seams anyway of your main bag lining. So just ignore the bit where I tell you to on this part here to fold it over. Don't need to. That's why your binding is now the same width as here. So that step will be slightly taken out within the pattern when it comes to the general release. So you're going to sew on that crease there, reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. Okay, so you've gone ahead and done that. You're going to bring that up, flip it over, and bring that over. So you just got a nice finished edge there. And then you're just going to top stitch along that edge there just to finish off that binding. Okay, so that part's done. We're going to pop this to one side and run out of places to put things. Right, so you're going to get your zip bridge pieces. You should have 2 lining pieces and 2 main outer pieces. So do we do it on both sides? Yes. Okay. So on the wrong sides, of all of them, you're going to measure in 1/4 inch and mark. In preferably mark with something that's not going to disappear, so like of a biro or a pencil or some coloured chalk or something. And you're going to measure in 1/4 inch on all of them, on each short edge. So that's my 2 outers done. Okay, so I've got those done. So just pop those to one side for now, and then we're just going to get the zip and complete the zip. So put your zip pull on and singe the 2 edges. So let's quickly do that. My sister is a cat lover. She's got 2 quite largish cats. Ooh. 2 largish cats, not big cats, but they're large to me. They're scary and they don't like me. The cats never like me, actually, to be fair. Okay, so mine opens up that way. So keep that closed. I'm going to add my metal stopper now. So where's the, oh, there it is. Okay, so just on the end where you need it to stay closed, obviously that's my top edge. Okay, we are going to fold over those two pieces there, pop that on. So use your tailor's awl if you've got any raw edges that need just poking up a little bit, like I do. Okay, then you're going to crack the teeth within where that hole is at the back. So you're just going to pop your tailor's awl through it, give it a wiggle. Put your screw there, and you need a screwdriver. I've got a micro screwdriver. Don't think mine's magnetised no more. Nope. Pop your screw in that hole there and tighten it up. Okay, so that's nice and tight there. Okay, so with this end here, we need to make a T shape. Now, personally, that's not straight, so I'm going to make that straight. And then I'm just going to cinch it again. And you do need it straight, guys, because you need your T to be spot on. Okay, so you can fold it upon itself by 1/2 inch. Yeah, like so. No, you can't. I'm going to take that back, Vicky. What I'm doing. Right, okay, so you're just going to go to your sewing machine and you're going to fold this at 1/2 inch. So as you can see, there's 1/2 inch and I've folded it. Let's add a tab. You will need a tailor's awl to help you with a third hand to help you through. Personally, I go ahead and sew that one first. Sew over it a few times, about 1/4 of an inch away from this edge here, and it will hold that L shape or that backward L shape. I'll just be back in a minute. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that one. This is my easiest side. This is my harder side. So where that curve is, you need to do the exactly same curve. So personally, I fold it, add a clip, bring the zip pull up, see if they match up, which they do. Move that clip around the edge. Okay, go to my sewing machine and stitch over that there, using the tailor's awl as my third hand. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. Close it up. It's close. It's not brilliant. Always this side for me is my worst side. Okay, just put that to one side. That zip is neat and finished. Right, so you're going to get your two lining pieces And on one of the edges, you're going to fold on that line that you've drawn on just on the two shorter edges. Okay, so I've got the two folded edges there. Put those to one side and get the two main outer pieces. And we're going to run some quarters tape along those two edges there. If you're using cotton fabric, you could go ahead and press those just like this. But because I'm using PU, you can't press it. So we're just going to fold it on that line and stick them into place, like so. And personally, I like to pop a clip so it just doesn't come undone. Okay, so I've got all those prepped. So we're going to get one of the main outer pieces, and personally, I like to mark it up on here on a mat, and because we've got that drawn line on the center on the back here, kind of you need to run some quarters tape, but you're going to run it from that 1/4 inch in on your mat. So I've got 1/4 of an inch overhang there. Okay. Going to peel off the backing tape. Okay. Get your zipper, and where you got the first tape, make sure it's right side facing down and right side to this. On that there, you need to stick your teeth. So that's 1/4 of an inch overhang of that gusset. I need to also make mine go up a bit. Okay, and I'm just going to run that along there. Okay, if you need to move that clip down a bit. Okay, and then you're just going to run completely along the top from edge to edge of that gusset quarters tape. Okay, and I personally like to run some down here as well. Just so it doesn't move. Grab your lining piece, peel off your backing tapes, and stick that into place. Personally, I'm just going to open up my zip now because it's just a bit too bulky, my zip pull is. Now, I thought I had. I'm going to flip this over. My lining is way bigger than what the actual tab zip gusset should be. So I'm personally going to refold that so it matches up that edge there. If you accidentally cut your lining too big, just do exactly the same as what I've just done. So using the zipper foot, you're going to sew all the way down to where you can feel the coil. So it's about 3/8 of an inch away from that edge. Then you're going to sew right next to that coil and reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. I'm going to use the standard stitch length of a 2.5. Okay, so I've gone ahead and sewn across there, and I can feel my teeth around about here, and then I've sewn down straight down that line. So the next thing you're going to do is trim off this edge here. You're not cutting through that zipper, okay? And you're just going to peel back as much as you can of that zipper and just trim a bit of the fabric excess in that corner. You're going to turn this right side facing out. If you have to, poke out that corner with a pokey stick, but mine's gone quite neat. Take that clip off, obviously. Okay, give it a good finger press. Personally, I'm going to add a clip there. Oh, hold it up. So run some clips down this edge, matching up those edges. Close up the zipper, just to make sure the zip doesn't catch on that. Then you're just going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge using stitch length number 4, and you're going to just do all 4 edges. Just do 1/8 of an inch away all the way around. Okay, so you're going to repeat the same process for this side here. I'm going to do that off camera, so I'll be quicker at it and then meet you back. Okay, so you've got that gone and done that, and you should have your lining attached at the bottom. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is grab your pocket that's got the zip attached to it. I mean your main body piece, that's body lining piece that's got the zip pocket attached to it. We've got the center here, so I'm just going to get a pin and just mark that, just so I know. And we're going to find the center top and bottom of this. Personally, I'm just going to little snip into it. Where's my snip? Right, so Right, so I'm a lefty righty to open up. Some people are righty to lefty. Work that one out yourself. I personally will be putting my zip pull on this side when it's closed. And we're just going to pop. So the centre's matched up. The right side of the lining to the right side of the lining. Then you've got two lining tops. They should be your main outer fabric. You're going to find the center of the long edge. And I know my center's underneath that clip somewhere. So I'm just going to pop those right side to right side of the main outer pieces. Clip along that edge. Okay, then you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch along this edge and reverse your stitch at start and at the end using a standard stitch length. Okay, just delete this next bit. Right, okay, so gone ahead and done that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to bring this up like so, and you need that seam to point down towards the zip pocket. Give it a nice flat. And you're just going to top stitch along here 1/8 of an inch away, and you're going to do a stitch length number 4. Just get rid of those. Stitch length number 4. Hello, hello, hello. Right, testing battery. Right, okay. So you should have that like that. I just like to bring mine down now and just give that a really good crease with my hands. Right, so okay, so we're just going to put this to one side, and we are now on step. I can't read it from there. Step 30. Now this is where we're going to attach the divider pocket to the other main body, main piece here, the lining body piece. So first of all, you're going to measure up from these two cutouts up, and you're going to measure up 1/2 inch and mark. And you're going to do it for both sides. There we go. Those marks are there for where we need the divider pocket to end. So you've got your divider pocket and you've got your binding edge here. Your binding edge needs to be towards this cutout. Your magnetic snap pieces need to be towards the top. You're going to pop your binding, matching up with that mark that you've just done there. And yes, this will go off at an angle. You can't help that at the moment. You're just going to clip down this edge here. Okay, you're going to sew 1/4 of an inch, base stitching 1/4 of an inch away from the edge and reverse your stitch. So knock your stitch length up. Okay, so I did go ahead and reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. You're just going to get a pin now and just pin this into place, and you're not going to attach that yet, but make sure that mark hasn't disappeared. Okay, so we're going to find the center top of here. So might have done this a bit backwards, but doesn't matter. I can fold it still. Okay. You're going to find the center of this edge here. Okay. You're going to get the panel that you've just attached the zipper to, and you're going to flip that over. So it looks like that. You're going to match up that center to that center, so that's your zip gusset and that center. Okay, then you're going to get that top lining piece, right side facing down, and you're going to match up those centers again. Okay, so you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'll meet you back. Reverse your stitch at the start and at the end, and use a standard stitch length. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to open up this zipper. Okay, then we're going to bring this down. Make sure the seam is pointing down towards this bit here, and we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away, reversing our stitch at the start and at the end, and we're going to knock our stitch length up to a stitch length number 4. Just off camera. Okay, so we've got all that done there. So the next thing you're going to do is zip up your zip a little bit, so around about there. First of all, we're going to sew this side. So remember, this is the side we've already sewed the divider to. So match up where the 2 joins are of the top and the bottom. And clip. Okay, so we're going to sew 3/8 of an inch, reverse our stitch at start and at the end, and we're just going to sew all the way down here. Uh, Okay, so we've gone ahead and done that. So I'm just going to treat this like I did with the outer. Leave a lip at the bottom and cut away half of the excess and leave a lip at the top as well. So the next stage is we're going to remove that pin from the divider. Next you're going to bring this over, so that's your divider, over to that mark and pin or clip that into place to start off with. And then just clip all the way up the top. Okay, and then you're going to push that zip inside, and it's a bit awkward this part is, but you're going to match up those two edges there, and you might want to add a few more clips on this edge. So take those clips off and then readjust. Okay, so repeating the same step, you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch all the way, reverse stitch at the start and at the end. Okay, and then we're just going to trim off the excess but leave those bits at the top and the bottom. Okay, so ideally now you need to open up this zipper. So while you've got the bottom undone, open it up fully. Okay, my zip is all the way down to the metal tag at the bottom. Okay, so because we've got plastic base to put in, we need to leave a turning gap, but we won't be needing this turning gap to birth the bag. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is just pop a clip about 2 inches away from that edge there, and from that edge there, and you're just going to sew those 2 inches there. I like to use a big gap for my plastic base to go in. It just means that I can get both my hands in to make sure that base is stuck into place when we come to finishing off the bag. So I'm just sewing from here to here, here to here, using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, reversing my stitch at the start and at the end of each little sewn line. And then what I'm just going to do is trim that back like so. And then we're going to get your hand up inside. This bit is the trickiest part because you've got that divider. You're going to open up your boxy corners and pop this in. Now you shouldn't sew any of the divider pocket here. And the reason being is we made sure when we put the divider pocket, we measured up 1/2 inch. We're going to use 3/8 of an inch, so you've got 8 of an inch, like allowance basically. So okay, so I'm just going to sew 3/8 of an inch on both of those edges and reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. Okay, I'm just going to trim off the excess seam allowance. Okay, so you should have a lining bag that should have a divider in the centre there. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is, and this is a brand new technique that I haven't done in thread skein before. Okay, so first of all, we're going to add the bag base, if you want to. I didn't like doing that when I first did the bag, so I'm going to move this step further along. Okay, so working on the lining first, and this is where you definitely need to use a 1/4 inch tape. We're going to run the 1/4 inch tape along this edge here, and you're going to do it right next to the edge. So I'm making sure I've got a really sticky start. I don't want it moving around. Okay, so okay, so I've done it from seam to seam. And there's a reason why we need the 1/4 of an inch is because we're going to fold it right on where that sticky tape ends. Personally, just going to open that up. So if it helps, put some clips. If you've got a measure guide, you can go ahead and measure to make sure you're definitely doing 1/4 of an inch. You don't want to do it any more than a 1/4 of an inch. As you can see, I'm opening up that seam there as well. Put a clip there. I'll come back and sort that out. Run some more quilter's tape along this edge here. And as you can see, the top of my quilter's edge is matching the raw edge of the bag lining. Okay, peel off that side. Okay, move that for a minute, that clip from previous edge, and pop that right on that seam there. Okay, so I'm gonna just get them out of the way so I don't knock it. Pop that to one side and get your main outer bag and turn this right side facing out now. You will, I can guarantee you'll probably get some creases. Just be careful of your feet, your bag feet and your tags and that. Those creases will pop out once you stuff the bag at the very end, once you've completed the bag, so don't stress at this present time. I don't. You can always get a hairdryer on it as well. Okay, just make sure all the corners are right as well. Okay, so I'm just going to bring those D-rings down and make sure my rectangle rings are down. And we're going to repeat the same process, but this side we're going inside. And we're going to stick it 1/4 of an inch down. So get your sticky tape ready. Now, I haven't left myself much of a seam allowance, so I'm just going to trim off some of that foam in certain areas. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so around the inner edge, I'm just going to run some quilter's tape along that edge as well, so I don't have to stress in the next few stages. Okay, so peeling enough one side at a time and a little bit at a time. Okay, so we're just going to fold that over. You will need to clip on this one because you remember you got that heavy stabilizer. Open up that seam allowance as well. And make sure you're definitely doing 1/4 of an inch. Okay, and repeat the same on this other side. Now the method we're doing here is because we have a centre pocket in the lining, and it just means that you haven't got the hassle of removing, manhandling the bag when you come to putting the lining inside and sewing the two main outer body and the lining together. Okay, so we've gone ahead and done that. You're going to get your lining. I personally like to find which side has got my zip pocket on, so that's that. So I always put my zip pocket on the opposite side. It's just natural for me. I'm going to put that inside there. So that's wrong side to wrong side. And the first thing you're going to do is match up those edges, those side seams, like so. You just pop a clip. Okay, and then you're just going to remove your clips, match up the edges, get your hand inside as well if it helps. Okay, so you're now going to top stitch all the way around here. Now you need to push this out of the way. If you've got a sleeve arm, put it in this way. Personally, I don't have a sleeve arm, so I have to do it this way and hope for the best. The top stitching is perfect on the outside. So I'll meet you back. You're going to top stitch between 1/8 of an inch away to a 1/4 of an inch away. Let's get that a bit better there. Oh, good. And reverse your stitch at start and at the end. I like to start on one of the seam sides as well, personally myself. Right, so I've got my plastic base here. I've just had to cut that because I forgot to cut myself one. Going to get some standard craft double-sided sticky tape. I'll get mine from Hobbycraft. I'm just going to run some sticky tape to the one side. Okay, and then you're just going to peel off that backing tape on all of those. Bit fiddly. Okay, so you're going to get your bag. You've got that turning gap at the bottom, haven't you? So open that up a bit. Gonna fold that so the sticky is on the outside. Just pop that in through that gap. Bit fiddly, but it will go through. And it will want to stick to stuff. Okay, so I'm just feeling around, making sure this is kind of in the center before I completely stick it down to the base. Okay, and then I'm just gonna stick that down completely. Okay, that's stuck down. You're going to pull out your lining and close that turning gap up upon itself. Bit of a, give it a good press with your fingers, clip it closed. You can hand sew it, machine sew it. I prefer machine sewing. If you've got a handmade tag, you can put it in this part now. I might go ahead and do that as I'm making it for a present. So, okay, so I'm just going to fold my tag in half. And I'm going to pop it so it's showing, like so. I'll just carry on clicking. Then I'm just going to sew across that and close it off completely. I've done that, and you're just going to push that up inside, get it all nice and straight. Put that divider pocket in the centre. It will flop around, I can guarantee it will. Get that zip. Just keep creasing it so you get a nice finish on the top. Okay, so that's the main outer done. Just going to pop this to one side, tidy up a bit, and then I'll meet you back. Right, okay, so I've already gone ahead and made the first handle, because you don't want to see me repeating that. I've also gone ahead and stuck the two long edges to the wrong side in the centre, like so. So I've got a handle like that. So you're going to fold it upon itself so it's right side to right side, and you should have an opening at the top there. And just clip that edge and repeat the same for this edge. And then you're just going to sew 1/4 of an inch each side and reverse your stitch at a standard stitch length. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. Just going to get rid of that right there. Okay, so you're going to trim off some of the seam allowance by half. And then you're just going to get your thumb and finger and you're just going to poke out that corner. If you've got a poke stick, poke it out. Same with this one here. Just going to use the tip of my scissors. Just be careful if you're using these scissors. Okay. Then I'm just going to bring those two folded edges up to each other and clip along. Okay, so you're going to sew one row of stitches on that side there first, where the clips are, and one row of stitches on this side, the folded edge. You're going to sew anything between 1/8 of an inch away or 1/4 of an inch away, whichever feels safe for you. Reverse your stitch at the start and at the end, and use a large stitch length of a number 4. Okay, so yours might curl up like this. Just tease it out, those twists. If you're doing a cotton version, you can go ahead and press it. Just it will. Okay, so get rid of those bits there. Okay, so you're going to grab the bag and we're going to pop the handle on. So I'm only going to show you the one handle and then I'll show you the finished bag at the end. So pop that through. Pop that through. Make sure there's no twists. And you're going to just flip that over like so. Make sure there's the same distance overhang. So I'm going for 1.5 inches from that fold there to that edge there. Okay, and I'm just going to pop a clip in that. And make sure you repeat this measurement on this side as well. It just means that your handles won't be different lengths. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just go to my sewing machine and sew just a line of sewing there and there. Reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. I'm going to knock my stitch length up to just a bit above number 4. Okay, so I've got the handles now attached. Let me just refocus. I've got the handles now attached. Totally up to you if you want to put some rivets in here. My sister, however, doesn't like too much bling on her bags, so I'm not going to add any rivets. And then basically the next step for you to do is go over to the actual video where to make the crossbody strap within my YouTube channel, and that will basically be how to make your crossbody strap. I'm not going to repeat how to do that because I've done that plenty of times on that video. And I'll meet you back. Right, okay, so obviously I've not done the crossbody strap. You need to go over to the actual video on my YouTube channel to do the crossbody strap. There is a few creases in it. What I will tend to do is stuff it out and basically get the hairdryer on it and run some steam over it from the hairdryer. Here's the one I made for the front cover. As you can see, it's got a little bee on it. It's the only spare bee I had left and I didn't realise at the time. But honestly, it's a good sized bag. Good sized body strap as well. So if you like me, I prefer a body strap. Um, just who I am basically. I'm not a girly girl, but I do like these style bags myself, so I do carry one of these. So yeah, thanks ever so much for the first advent calendar subscription, and I'm hoping you're going to enjoy the Easter one. There is sign up still available. I'm capping it at 40 for 2025. But next year's advent calendar for Christmas is already in process and already being designed as we speak. Yes, I am working a year in advance because we have to. And yeah, honestly, it's been a cracker. So thanks ever so much for all your support this year and happy Christmas. See you all soon. Bye.